So I did mis-reviews on some interesting gaming mice last year, and in this video we're gonna fix that. So we're checking out the glorious Model D- wireless, the Gamesense MVP, the Steelseries Aerox 3 wireless, the Vancer Gretxa, and the Cooler Master MM730. All of these are interesting to me in different ways, and we're gonna go through the positive and the negative aspects of each of these mice. Starting with the positives on the Model D- wireless, and this might actually be the most underrated mouse in 2021. And the first positive is for sure performance. From all the wireless mice in this video, it has the lowest click latency and motion delay, and it does not lose that much even to the Logitech G Pro X Superlight. Another really good thing is the build quality. The mouse is built like an absolute tank, there is no side flex and no creaking whatsoever. And there are no general quality issues with, for example, the clicks or the side buttons. Then I also consider the weight of the Model D- wireless to be a positive factor. As it weighs about 69 grams, it's well balanced, and for this size I think it's lightweight enough. And the last positive thing that I'm gonna mention is that the shape is smaller than the EC2. There are very few small asymmetrical shapes, and there are basically none in wireless form, so it's nice to see some variety, although it's definitely an EC2 inspired shape. And then for the negative aspects, one is for sure the battery life. With RGB enabled, you can basically run out of battery in 2 or 3 days. Without RGB, you will last for about a week, but that's still not great. The next negative aspect is going to be the coating, which is quite slippery for my slightly sweaty hands. This applies to all glorious mice, and the longer I use them per session, the more slippery they will get. The last negative aspect, in my opinion, is the click feel of the main mouse buttons. I think main mouse buttons should always have at least some post travel to make them more comfortable to spam. And sadly, the Model D- wireless has basically no post travel. Also, the clicks could be lighter to actuate, which would make them more responsive. Overall, I definitely do think that this mouse is an absolute banger. The shape is very nice for a claw grip for pretty much any hand size, and you can palm grip it if you have small hands. It's shorter than the EC2, and pretty much all the curves are a little bit less rounded, so it will actually make the overall hand feel quite different to the EC2. If you want a slightly smaller wireless ergo, I definitely think it's going to be a good bet for you if you claw grip. I like it for relaxed claw where my fingers are quite extended on the right side, and for aggressive claw where they are more curled, and for pincer claw where my fingers and the top right corner of my palm is going to be touching the mouse. But the best grip for performance sakes for me is going to be the aggressive claw with the Model D- wireless. The next mouse we got is the Gamesense MVP, and the first positive aspect is going to be the click feeling. It has the GM 4.0s, and the clicks are very snappy and tactile, and they are still light, easy to spam, and they do have some of that post travel. The side buttons and the scroll wheel click also have that really nice feeling, as they do have those GM 4.0s as well. This shape is also quite unique for today's standards, so it will also be mentioned as a positive aspect. And the last positive aspect is that there is really nothing that wrong about this mouse. But of course I will complain about something, so moving on to the negative aspects, and the first one being the fact that this mouse does feel somewhat cheap. That is mainly due to the coating, which is grippy, but it just feels plasticky and for sure not as nice as the XM1, the Superlight or VAC C mice, for example. The next negative aspect is the mouse feet, which can feel quite bad on rough surfaces. You get way too much of that rough feedback on the Artisan high-end, and the experience is overall just very rough. But the feet do not cause me any issues on smooth surfaces, and the glide is good on those. And the last negative aspect about the Gamesense MVP is the fact that there is really nothing that awesome about it except for the click feeling. There are just so many good mice on this price range that if you do not specifically want this shape, there just aren't that many reasons to go for the MVP. The shape is very good for any kind of claw grip, it's good for palm grip, and I would say it's suitable for fingertip grip as well. Not really a mouse for small hands though. Then we have the Steelseries Aerox 3 wireless, which was updated and improved. One positive aspect is the click feeling with the TTC gold switches. They are easy to actuate and spam, and they still feel snappy and tactile. But that's it for the positive aspects. The first negative aspect for me is going to be the sensor position. Most popular sensor position is central or even a little bit forward. And the Aerox 3 wireless sensor position is towards the back of the mouse, which is quite unique, and it can take some time for you to get used to it for basically no reason whatsoever. The next negative aspect is quite major, and that's going to be the price. There is no way whatsoever that this mouse should be sold for 110 euros in Europe. For you guys living in the States, it seems to be about $100, but that's still too much, especially considering that it has a budget sensor. Then we also have to remember the fact that the initial versions had bad build quality, but according to many reports, it has been fixed with the new versions. And lastly, the battery life is absolute garbage if you use RGB. Then the shape, and that's basically my favorite thing of the Aerox True Wireless. The hump is quite pronounced and it's a little bit towards the back of the mouse, which makes it a very good shape for claw grip. It's quite wide from the back, but it does flare into the front side, so it's not wide from where your fingers are by any means. It's also comfortable for me to fingertip grip, but for my 19x10cm hands, I can't palm grip it. Overall, the shape is awesome and the mouse can be found quite well discounted often, so you can actually consider it. Then we have the Vancer Gretxa, which is basically a Starlight 12 medium clone, and the best thing and the only really big positive aspect for me is going to be the price. It's available for about $70 on Addice Inc, and it's even discounted sometimes. The next slightly positive thing is going to be the main mouse buttons. They are snappy and tactile, easy to actuate and easy to spam. The build quality is also good for the price, so there is no shell flex and no creaking whatsoever. Then on to the negative aspects, and the first one is that these holes are absolutely horrible. I don't know why, but they are shaped like hearts and diamonds, and they feel and look like garbage. The mouse feet are also horrible and mainly due to the design, so they have 4 small feet and these feel really rough on Artisan high-end, for example. With any rough mousepad, you are basically going to be begging for a new mouse. And lastly, although the mouse is quite cheap, it also feels very cheap. Slightly due to the holes, the overall feel of the mouse, the side buttons, and the fact that even though the clicks feel nice, they do not feel premium by any means. The shape I could also call a negative aspect because it's an exact clone. I mean, the shape itself isn't bad by any means, and if you want to know more about it, I recommend you check my Starlight Film medium review. Then on to the last mouse of the video, and that's going to be the Cooler Master MM730. The first positive aspect is going to be the fact that the shape is very unique. More about that on the subjective part, that the next positive aspect is going to be the click latency. It is very low with the optical switches that the mouse has, and the lowest one from all the buys in this video. The click feeling is also nice, so the switches are snappy and tactile, and easy to spam, but the actuation could be a little bit lighter. The price is also great, but it does seem to be hard to find. In Finland, it's about 45 euros. And the cable is also very good, although not top tier, but considering the price, it has to be a positive aspect. That's it for the positive aspects, and the first negative aspect is build quality. There is a lot of shell flex and the mouse is actually close to breaking when I squeeze the sides. Then the coating or the surface of the mouse feels very cheap, although it is quite grippy for my slightly sweaty hands. The side button feeling is also very bad as they have a lot of post travel. So the one thing that really sticks out even at 45 euros is bad quality. Although because the shape is very unique, you might actually want to consider getting this and trying it if you are Finnish, or you can get it for about that 45 euros. For my hand size, it's very good for aggressive claw, but not really the best or usable in relaxed claw or pincer claw. So in my opinion, the only grip for you guys who have medium or large hands is going to be aggressive claw. You can also do a bunch of weird grips with it, but basically you can't pincer claw it at all because it's so low profile from the back right corner. So yeah, some of these ended up being worse than others. But I seriously do think that the Model D minus wireless is an absolute banger. The Gamesense MVP, the Vancer Gretxa and the Steelseries Aerox True Wireless can also be considered as good options, but all of them have some fairly major flaws in my opinion. The Cooler Master MM730 then again is a major flaw in itself, but it has some good features and the shape is very interesting. The only mouse from these that I can easily recommend is going to be the Model D minus wireless. I for sure enjoyed my time with it, and it's the best glorious mouse out at the moment in my opinion. But the asymmetrical shape is of course not going to be for everybody. That's pretty much it for this one. Let me know in the comment section if you enjoy roundup videos like these, so I will know to keep making these in the future as well. Check these 2 videos here for some great mouse pads and mice. If you enjoyed this one, hit the like button. If you enjoy my content, hit that subscribe button, and see you in the next one.